Welcome to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Today's date, July 9th, Maddie's 12th birthday. Happy birthday to my lovely daughter, Maddie. Episode 165 of the Betting Above the Rim podcast, and let's get started with our tip-off topics with some rookie max extension deals. Let's start off with Chet Holmgren getting the max extension by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not shocking that Chet got the numbers that he did. And Chet Holmgren, they remember, missed his rookie season, which his rookie year was his second season. So you look at someone like Chet, the concern you're going to have with Oklahoma City is health, right? Only played 32 games during the regular season. Obviously, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.2 blocks per game. You know, the stats weren't overly impressive in the playoffs, although he jumped up to 15.2. Shooting percentage went down to 46.2, only 28% from three. But you can't mistake this young core that they have in Oklahoma City, right? Getting SGA locked up to his max extension. We talked that super max. We talked about that last episode. Jalen Williams. Obviously, you look at the play of Chet Holmgren. Nicole Topic, the rookie that they had last year that was hurt, should have an impact coming off the bench. This team is absolutely loaded. So Sam Presti, who hit home run after home run as of late, locks in Chet Holmgren for a max extension. Shout out to Chet. He got that bag. Speaking of getting the bag, let's head to the Eastern Conference where Paolo Banchero signed a rookie max extension as well. Obviously, all of this as according to Shams Charania. And this is another player that dealt with injuries last year with the Orlando Magic. But an Orlando Magic team, folks, let's be honest, they're going all in. You look at this young core with Wagner, with Banchero, with Jalen Suggs, right? You have a little bit of veteran leadership with Wendell Carter Jr. You have the trade of Desmond Bane, in which they got rid of KCP and Cole Anthony. You re-signed the other Wagner, and then you go ahead and you draft Jace Richardson in the first round out of Michigan State, someone that myself and particularly Kevin Walsh and Ben Stevens talked glowingly about during the NBA draft show that we had here on Sports Grid. So when you look at Orlando, can this team be a top 3, top 4 team in the East? Obviously, we'll talk about some odds to win the division in the Eastern Conference in our next segment on our award tour. But I just want to kind of lay it out to you, right? You figure New York, Cleveland, 1-2 in either order. We'll get to New York a little bit in a second here. But to me, Orlando is in that interesting mix. Them, Atlanta, what do we get to those teams as they try to come up? Does Philadelphia make a move, right? Can they stay healthy? What's up with Milwaukee? Detroit, another team that's on to come up. Interesting times here for the Orlando Magic, but by going to get Desmond Bane and giving Banchero that max extension, you off that rookie deal, you know that Orlando is officially going for it, and they think in the Eastern Conference with major injuries to Tatum, to Halliburton, to Lillard, they think that they're a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. We'll do some more, East or Western Conference odds after probably about a week or two once we get through the divisions where we stand right now. Let's head back west. Anthony Davis. He's injured. Are we shocked? No. He's always injured. But now he went surgery for his eye, and there's hope and expectations that Anthony Davis should be ready to hopefully be ready to go at the end of training camp, which will put him in line to start the regular season. When you look at Dallas and you look at that team, right, with Anthony Davis, with Derek Lively, with Daniel Gafford down low, you got P.J. Washington as a 4. We know what we're going to see out of Cooper Flag. We talked about him last episode, right? And then you look at Klay Thompson. It's going to be about what they can do without Kyrie. But I think Jason Kidd is one of the top 10 coaches in the NBA. I think defensively, they're going to be extremely, extremely strong. I just wish, I'll be honest with you, and this is kind of be my little soapbox thing, I just wish Anthony Davis would decide that he could play center. If Anthony Davis could play center, then you could move either Gafford or Lively. Obviously, Gafford just got an extension, so it'd have to be during the middle of the year. But if they ever got Anthony Davis to play the 5, and then you put P.J. Washington at the 4, and you put Cooper Flag at the 3, and obviously Klay Thompson at the 2, Martin off the bench, That is a flat-out dangerous team. It'll be interesting to see how Jason Kidd uses the three bigs and obviously Cooper Flagg and PJ Washington in that 3-4-5 spot. But to me, I think it would be really important for Dallas to try to get him in the pivot. But more importantly, folks, we got to get Anthony Davis healthy. Let's swing back to the East. The worst kept secret for the last week became official yesterday as Mike Brown was named head coach of the New York Knicks. I kind of looking at Mike Brown like, I kind of look like Mike Brown a little bit. I mean, I think I'm better looking, but that's a story for another day. Hopefully Mike Brown does a great job. Listen, there's been a lot of talk in New York about how New York Knicks fumbled this. I'm going to say this. I actually think this is an upgrade. I've talked about this before. Mike Brown used and learned that split screen action offense out of Golden State. And then you look at what he has done defensively. Now, you look at the numbers with Sacramento, and you're going to say, oh my goodness, they were like in the bottom 10 in defensive rating. Well, you try to get De'Aaron Fox. Try to get Keegan Murray. Well, he actually plays a lot of defense. Try to get, DeMar DeRozan. Try to get Domantas Sabonis. Try to get some of these guys, Harrison Barnes, to play defense. I'm going to say this. I think Mike Brown's going to do a hell of a job in New York. Now, New York's got immense pressure. They're the favorites to win the East. They should win the East based off of who they have coming back. But I want to see how he uses this lineup. I expect New York to play faster next year. I expect we're getting Jordan Clarkson and Yabusele for the bench. I think the bench will be used more. The question I have for particularly Jalen Brunson is, are you going to sacrifice points to get other guys involved? When you looked at the Knicks the second half of the year, their offense was poor until, honestly, Brunson got hurt. And then their offense got better because it got tougher to guard. Let's see what happens with New York in regards to how they use Jalen Brunson. Let's head to the WNBA as the New York Liberty won 87-78 over the Las Vegas Aces. Covering, folks, ready? For the first time in 10 games, they were 0-9 against the spread as they have been struggling without Double J Jonquel Jones. And obviously, you got to talk about the play of Sabrina Ionescu. I think about 28 points was fabulous in the win. But the concern goes to the other side. A team in Las Vegas that just can't get it right. They don't look good. And then the worst part about it is A'ja Wilson goes down with an injury. Now, as of recording time right now, we have not gotten any definitive word on what happened and how long, I would say, A'ja Wilson is out for. It's going to be important that they make sure A'ja Wilson is up and healthy. Last topic. DeWanna Bonner goes from Indiana, which he has to be let go to Phoenix. Are we shocked? I think not. Why? I told you, as soon as this happened, look for Phoenix. Why? Her wife or fiance is Alyssa Thomas. She had success in Phoenix. And DeWanna Bonner goes to a Phoenix Mercury team with Kalia Copper, with Satu Sabali, right? And obviously with Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner, they are the biggest threat to the Minnesota Lynx in the Western Conference, and they are going to be sneaky in regards to possibly winning a WNBA title. It'll be important to see how this were to take place with the Phoenix Mercury in regards to how they integrate DeWanna Bonner. I still think she has something left in the tank. Coming up next, we'll get into our award tours. We'll look at the odds to win all three divisions, the Atlantic, the Central, and the Southeast Division, as we break down who could win each division, and let's see if we can find a little bit of value. We'll be back on our tour after this commercial break. Welcome back to the Betting Above the Rim podcast, episode 165, and it's time to get into our award tour as we break down future markets in the NBA. With a lot of the free agency kind of come and gone, I think it's a good time that we start looking at odds. So let's spend today looking at Eastern Conference divisional odds. And let's start off at the Atlantic. The New York Knicks are the favorites at minus 210, plus 460 for the Philadelphia 76ers, 5-1 for Boston, 22-1 for Toronto. And why do we even have to talk about Brooklyn at 50-1? But let's spend a quick minute talking about each of these teams. Obviously, New York is the favorite because of their depth, right? Getting Yabusele and Clarkson to come off the bench, obviously, with Deuce McBride. And then you look at, Mitchell Robinson and Cat, and obviously OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mike Brown as a coach. The Knicks should be better offensively and just about as good defensively. They are the favorites for a reason. Philadelphia is an intriguing team because if Joel Embiid is right, he's a top 5 player in the league. If Tyrese Maxey is right, he's a top 25, top 30 player in the league. If Paul George is right, he's top 40, right? Nick Nurse, he's a top 10 coach. And McCain was going to be Rookie of the Year. You just can't depend on them to stay healthy, which leads me to Boston. Drew Holiday is gone. We'll see what Anthony Simons can do. I'm not a big fan of him with Jaylen Brown, right? Porzingis is gone. We don't know what's going to happen with Luke Cornett or obviously Al Horford. Brad Steven's already talked about Al Horford's probably going to go. So they're going to bring back Luke Cornett. And Luke Cornett's already with the Spurs. So they're in trouble here, right? So then you get to Toronto at 22-1. They're blowing it up. Obviously, you heard, with Masai Ujiri being let go. And then Brooklyn, I don't even know why we're talking about Brooklyn. They're 50-1. They're going to be god-awful. They're going to try and get the number 1 overall draft pick. So to me, it's New York or nothing. And I'm going to take New York at minus 210, but I think the best way to do it is you got to find a dance partner. Take New York and another team and parlay it. That's a heavy favorite to try and get it near even money. Which gets us to the Central Division. Could we look at parlaying the Knicks with Cleveland? Cleveland is a bigger favorite in the Central at a minus 360. Obviously, you look at some of the guys they have coming back. And then really the one big move is obviously they lost obviously the guard out of Virginia. I don't know why I'm mistaking his name, but they did pick up Lonzo Ball, obviously, in the trade for Okoro. So to me, you look at a team like Cleveland, and they should be the favorite. Ty Jerome is who I was referring to. But Detroit is so interesting because they were so bad for the first half of the year, and then they came on like gangbusters. Kate Cunningham's a top 20 player, I truly believe, in the NBA. And then you look at some of the other guys, Jalen Duren, Tim Hardaway Jr. is gone, Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, right? They're big ball Paul Reed. They get Duncan Robinson to be the shooter to take over for obviously losing a guy like Malik Beasley because of, maybe some of the allegations that are coming out about him. They become interesting. Milwaukee 10-1. What can I tell you? I don't even know if Giannis is going to be there by the end of the year. So I don't even know why we need to talk about them. Indiana 23-1, I think is disrespectful. They did lose Miles Turner. They did lose, obviously, Tyrese Halliburton for the year. To me, it's going to be about Naismith, Nembhard, particularly Bennett Mathurin, who had a really good finals, Pascal Siakam, and I still think they're going to try to beat you with the sum of their parts. So, we'll try and find value for them in a different way. Chicago, 141, don't even worry about them. They're going to be completely irrelevant. Thank God they're finally blowing it up. It took them long enough. The team with the shortest odds to win the division is Orlando at minus 185. You have Atlanta at plus 180, Miami 16-1, Charlotte, Washington. We don't even need to talk about them. This is a 2-horse race. It's amazing we're saying this because I think the Heat culture is dead. We've talked enough about Orlando and what they've done in the last segment, talking about Banchero getting the extension. Atlanta is so intriguing. I want people to understand this. This is Trae Young's biggest year. Okay? You got to look at the fact that, 2021, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They have gone backwards every year. They've swapped out Nick McMillan. They got rid of John Collins. They brought in DeJounte Murray. They got rid of DeJounte Murray. Clint Capella's gone. Now they bring in Kristaps Porzingis. They signed Luke Kennard as a shooter. They have to win this year. Now, it's going to be interesting between them and Orlando because it's going to be who you trust. And the problem with Orlando is the fact that I just don't think they shoot the ball well enough from three. I'm going to take a chance here. I think Atlanta's going to win a division. I think it's so critical for Trey to do this. And he's got a step out, pick and pop big in Porzingis. You look at Okongwu as a backup who played well. Jalen Johnson was a borderline 20 and 10 guy a night before he got hurt, right? Zachary Richichet should continue to take the next step and become better. And they got the Great Barrier Reef and Dyson Daniels as a ball stopper. Now, I've never been a big Quinn Snyder guy, but I just got a feeling. I got a feeling that I think we're overrating and we're elevating Orlando too quickly. And I think because it's such a critical year for Trae Young, I think they find a way to win the Southeast. So really quick, we're going to take New York minus 210. If you want to parlay it with Cleveland at minus 360, I don't blame you. That's to get you near minus 140, 150. Sprinkle on with Detroit, and then I'm going to go with Atlanta at plus 180 to win the Southeast Division. Coming up next, we will get into our scouting report as we break down some top of the best games in the WNBA on Thursday and Friday as we wrap up episode 165 of the Betting Above the Rim podcast with the coaches scouting report after this commercial break. Welcome back to the Betting Above the Rim podcast, episode 165, and it's time to get into our scouting report as we break down games in the WNBA with only 4 games tipping off between Thursday and Friday. It'll be a good time for me to kind of quickly preview the 4 games. Remember, there's no lines out as of recording time. I got to do a better job, but it's starting tomorrow on Thursday. You will get your scouting reports. Make sure you look for those only on the Sports Grid app, which is obviously free of charge. I'll give a plug for that in a little bit as we end this segment. But let's start with Minnesota at the Sparks. You know, if you kind of look at this game, Minnesota, the best team in the WNBA with the best record, against a formidable team in regards to LA, a team that could really score the ball and score the ball a ton when you look at the play of Kelsey Plum. I am looking at, obviously, you know, the game being in LA, you would think that they should be heavily involved in trying to get the win here, but I'm gonna go with Minnesota. Minnesota seems to do well against teams that are good. I know the WNBA has been wild. Think about this. We're recording this today on Thursday or on Wednesday, and earlier today, Indiana lost to the Valkyries by like 20, right? And then the other one was the Connecticut Sun were 17-point underdogs, and they won. So look, we don't even know what's going on with this league right now. But I'm going to bank on the Fisher Collier, Big Fish, Cheryl Reeve, and the best team in the WNBA to get the win in the cover versus the Los Angeles Sparks. Let's move on to the second game, and it's Las Vegas versus Washington. Washington has been such an incredible story. You talk about the play of Brittany Sykes, and then obviously the 2 rookies and Iriafen, and then obviously Sonia Citron. You look at a team like the Washington Mystics right now that is firmly looking themselves in the playoff hunt. I think they are the 8th seed right now if the season were to end today. We don't know what's going on with A'ja Wilson. We got to kind of get that report from the MRI. It did not look good with her getting hurt versus the Liberty. So right now, my lean is going to be the Washington Mystics minus a point and look for the game to go under because Las Vegas is going to have to play the game slower and Washington is not as bad as you think when it comes to defense. The Washington Mystics they give up about 80 points per game, but obviously you look at Vegas, they give up about 81.5, but they're going to have to play different without, obviously, A'ja Wilson. Let's head to Friday's games now, and a big matchup between Atlanta and Indiana. Atlanta is 3rd right now in the WNBA standings. If you look at, I'm sorry, not 3rd, they're 4th right now, 1 game behind the loss column of the New York Liberty and the Phoenix Mercury versus a team in Indiana that I think they're trying to figure it out. I got to say this, folks, and this is saying this with the biggest respect I have for her and her game. I think Caitlin Clark's got to change her game a little bit. They showed their ability to be multi-dimensional offensively with her out. And she didn't do it today because they got blown out. But you got to look at Caitlin Clark's assist prop in this game. Atlanta has obviously the double bigs, but I don't look at them having a strong stopper of Caitlin Clark, but I think it's better for her to try and create for others. But do know that they are 3rd in the WNBA in points per game allowed. So look at Caitlin Clark over assists. Last game, Connecticut, Seattle. I don't know what this line's going to be after a 17-point favorite lost. But I'll tell you this right now, I'm taking the Storm in the first half. They should be in such a bad mood by losing as folks, let me repeat myself. They were a 17-point favorite, and they lost by 10. Lost by 10. They're going to be better this time out. I expect them to jump on Connecticut in the first half. I'm not going to lay the points for the whole game, but I'll be willing to do it for the first half. This has been your Betting Above the Rim podcast for July 9th. Happy birthday, Maddie. For all things sports gambling, download that Sports Grid app. Pre-game, in-game, post-game, props, predictions, and more from the very best in the sports gambling industry. For my producer, Matty George, Vinny, who does a great job with the graphics, thanks for listening, folks, and always remember, it's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Good night. Done. Almost like, what? How you thought it went? Yeah, I just kind of froze for a second right before. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What is it about? All right, great job. Enjoy your slide.